Are you kidding me? That's what?
Yeah, every so often it happens that Ryan is right.
100% right. Not even a little bit right.
Tucker Pullman, 2 points last game.
No kidding.
My man!
Hey, neither does me running shirtless, but that turned out very well.
It
so.
did. That,
Welcome to the PP1 podcast.
One of us just came from the rink. One of us just finished a glorious nap, I'm assuming. Canucks
No, it
can
wasn't.
do that. Canucks can do that. They can lead to that. You weren't napping?
no, it wasn't a glorious one.
Oh, but it was a nap.
It was like one of those ones where you're like, dozing.
I should be going to sleep.
No, I'm supposed to be staying awake. No, you're supposed to be helping. And then you feel like worse because of it.
Mm-hmm. The deep
like,
sleep.
Oh, I need a coffee, but it's like 8:30. Like, probably shouldn't drink a coffee, but now you just want coffee. So it's like, do I go get a decaf? Like, what do I do?
If you drank one, you could run to my house. We could just go for a run. I mean, running wise, you're like a couple hours away. I'd be sleeping by then.
Yeah, I can make it by 11:30.
I forgot that. That's new. We're doing that again. We're doing that at Power Up. Yeah, getting big.
Getting big.
You guys all heard this is the PP1 podcast. It's Ryan, it's Ted. We're going to talk about Canucks. We're going to talk about trucks. We're going to talk about disappointment.
Oh, I love trucks.
Yeah, the truck that we were talking about, I think, is gone.
Which one?
I think it's been completely parted out.
Oh, yeah. It was gone like the next day. The Ford.
You know what's crazy though? Ford? If you go look in that field, tons of draft picks. Tons of draft picks and cap space.
Yeah.
So
just parted out.
There's
Nothing's
hope.
Nailed down.
No, there's hope still. I mean, the crates were even gone, so they probably traded that for a bag of pucks. So that is an update that people probably want to know about. This is what goes on in Kelowna. Remember, you guys can comment on our YouTube page, on our Facebook page. That would be fun if you want to come and talk to us. Because I mean, I enjoy talking to Ted, but sometimes other people come up with questions that are more intelligent than mine. And that makes the show more interesting. It does. Not gonna lie. I got some stuff. You probably seen Ted tweeting out on the Twitter machine. Not a long form like Elon Musk wanted us to have, but that's okay. I'm gonna debate that JT Miller is actually a good thing for the Canucks. In fact, more versatile than Bo Horvat, and we'll get into that a little bit later. And I know people would want to be listening. So the truck's gone. I went speed skating on Monday.
Nice,
I didn't post all the videos. There are a few. I look awkward. About as awkward as it looked when I was playing hockey that one time in our Jersey City days. Except there was nobody pointing out my inability to skate. So they were actually waving me on. I had skin suit and all. I will make sure you guys see the rest of the videos. It was good. Ted's waving on his entourage, I think. Pretty sure. Not quite sure.
Yeah, I should probably go and throw it on a skin suit once before.
Oh, it's great. They fit pretty good. Christine kept saying, she's like, hey, like,
well, they can't fit bad.
Yeah, that's true. She's like, hey, do you want to put on a jacket? I'm like, no, I'm plenty warm. She goes, I wasn't concerned about you being warm. I'm like, oh, are you embarrassed? So there was a few requests for that on Monday, and I did not listen to them. And I got a Bronx cheer, if that's a good thing. I can't remember, from all the skaters on ice and off as I was getting ready. So I've officially made it. So something like that. You've also made it. You were on with
Ryan
Canucks Clay.
Down.
Yeah, exactly. She's a little bit better. I don't know anybody named Bart in my family, so I don't really like Calgary all that much. You were on Game Over Vancouver with Canuck Clay Emu a couple nights ago. Congratulations, you did very well. I put you up on our TV because you can do that with a smart TV.
Nice. That's
so
smart.
Basically, it's weird when you see your friends on the big screen. You did very well.
Thanks,
very well. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, Clay makes it pretty easy. Obviously, he's like a pro. He's been doing it for a while. He does the vlog thing, so he definitely can handle himself. And I just have to follow his lead. So
you had some wise points there. Yeah, you had some wise little points. While we're like patting ourselves on the back, and I hope you guys can hear this. I finally found that clip. If you remember back in November, I may have said something about Jim Rutherford. I'm just going to play this clip. Hopefully you can hear it.
So are we supposed to be hearing it?
Yeah.
Are we experiencing technical difficulties?
No, you can hear it on my end. Just assume you're hearing it.
Oh.
Anyway, so you probably didn't hear that. Did you not hear that? It's going to sound great in the post. What is it called? Post? At post edit. You'll hear it on the podcast. You'll hear it on the podcast. Just assume that I said something good. I did post it on crier.co. Basically, I suggested, what if Rutherford actually quit? Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you do. You have to remember. Come on.
I need the clip, I think.
Killing me. I literally played it, and you're like,
oh, I can't hear it. This is the magic of post editing.
But didn't you you said that was a great article? Was that like a different article you read of mine?
No. I guess I'm just having a hard time remembering exactly what your point was.
Okay,
please deliver.
So anyway, this was like right before the Sedins went in, because Manko had scored a hat trick that week, right before they went to the Hall of Fame. And things are kind of going a little bit sideways. And I was saying, like, there was kind of a rumor out there, like things were getting kind of tough. And I said, wouldn't that be something if Rutherford like quit? And you kind of poo-pooed that and thinking, like, I don't think he would just up and quit, that it's too hard. And this week has come out that whether there's actual truth to that, there's been a lot of smoke in the media that maybe he just gets out for good. And I thought, interesting. We talked about this, and it's because it's an interesting thing, right? I mean, it would be pretty weird to see a president of hockey operations just up and go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it would be. I think the only difference is that it was Patrick Alvin that was named GM of the team, and then president of operations is essentially Jim Rutherford. So it's like,
sure.
But it's Rutherford in there making moves, and then Alvin's making moves, and then you have Rutherford delivering a message of what the mission statement is, and then you have Alvin doing the same thing. That sounds a little bit different. So the whole thing seems somewhat disjointed as it is. But at the end of the day, right. I do feel like and I could be wrong on this completely because we're hearing two different stories. I feel like it's Alvin's direction that we're moving in. I don't know what your thoughts are on that. I would be curious, but I think this is like the one scenario, and although you are right, or you could be right, this is the one scenario where it wouldn't be like a wacky thing if Rutherford were to leave.
I think because we're not really sure, and I think this is like that joke, like what does what does Weisbrod do? Well, we didn't really know what Alvin was doing. Like we didn't really
up until
know
recently, I would say.
Up until recently, exactly. So I think you're kind of right on.
Weisbrod that was making all those moves before. Like they just like, we're gonna start to give Weisbrod more rope. Like how many knots can you draw in your rope to hang yourself? Like a good thing that didn't happen. Hey,
the guys, I was in scouts. That's not the kind of actual knots we were talking about. We were just figuratively like, no, but I can tie them. I was in scouts.
Yeah, I'm YouTube certified for my DM credentials.
Yeah, subscribe to my channel. Yeah, I think that we've seen a lot more of Alvin in the last month. Really, he came out after when they shut down Mikheyev for the season, right?
Right.
That was an interesting one, but that was something that they had already scheduled, that he was going to come out, and he had been basically in front of the media. We've heard a little bit more going forward. It's an interesting situation that I know people have been kind of following, and whether it carries through or not. I mean, it's not. It wouldn't be shocking that it was just such a crazy turnaround, but at the same time, you hear it from the bench, like Rick talk. It's like it's not going to be. This isn't going to be like an overnight thing. I'm willing to do like the process over, a quick turnaround. And I thought, okay, well, a game like tonight was a great example. Like, all right, well, there's a few things to like about the game. It was entertaining. It wasn't a great game, but I mean, they lost 4-3. This is what we've been asking for.
Yeah.
So on the ice, we're getting, I mean, Quinn Hughes got hurt, came back. We're in a fishbowl. Luke Shan got hurt, came back. But this is what we've been asking for. We said we'd be okay when the team starts diving down towards hopefully the bottom of the standings. This is what it looks like. And this is actually not a bad version of it. So, I mean, if Rutherford did go and Alvin kind of took the step, and who knows, maybe they just don't have a president for a bit, which they've done that before. Maybe that's not the worst thing. And maybe he just needs a wait a sec guy, but he has a few of them with Granado and Castanigay. So, I mean, there's people there. It seems like there's a team there. We don't really hear from them, and that's fine. But I mean, if Rutherford did go again, it would be a shock value thing. It'd be like media.
It'd just be more wacky news coming out of Vancouver, right? And
Yeah.
in terms of the team losing, I mean, I guess it's in the words of Dennis Green, they are who we thought they were, but not like angrily. Like we're okay with it. Like we understand who they are, bro. We've known who you are for a long time. Like now that's okay for us too.
There you are, Peter.
You're doing it, Peter.
Yeah. That's good. Rufio is waiting for us.
Yeah.
It's I mean, we're gonna have some interesting conversations in the next little while, I think. And this probably the least of them will be this whole Rutherford thing. But that's fine.
I think do we not always know that Rutherford was just a placeholder?
I feel like it. It just
am I wrong to think that? I felt like that was the vibe. And I don't know why you bring a guy like Alvin on if Rutherford's not the placeholder.
Yeah, it was an interesting little addition for both of them, right? Especially like the way with Stan Smeel and all that. That was just it was awkward. So I think they made awkward official in a different way. Is that possible? We're making awkward official. Yeah. Anyway, so lots of stuff is clearly going on. Bo Horvat is now with Long Island. The Canucks play him tomorrow, and that's going to be interesting. He's already well received in New York.
Oh yeah,
they already gave him like a massive cheer after he scored, and rightfully so. That one still impresses me that's what needed to happen. But I mean, again, you sign the wrong guy, you make the wrong move. Maybe that was what we needed to. Maybe there was more value there to trade Bo Horvat instead of the JT. Who knows? Like, there's a lot of, the Filipino, and there's.
I was just watching Elliot Friedman today talking about the fact that it's not off the table that a guy like JT Miller moves still at the trade deadline.
I think that'd be wild,
wouldn't it?
That's like the typical like Luongo and Corey Schneider both getting traded.
Yeah, we did it. No, I take it back. Can't take it back. Okay, so how do I get rid of this thing? Because I don't want it.
Could you imagine? Like, we had Bo Horvat, JT Miller, and they still traded all three away. We've been through this before, just as a goaltender. So really, it's almost like we're prepared for this to happen because we've already had it happen. Like, the training wheels are off. We can now do this again.
I would say that because I don't think either player is going to move, and I believe that the masses probably have Demko's odds of moving higher than Miller's.
Okay.
Right. But I would say that I would say that the Canucks are maybe a little bit more motivated to move a guy like Miller than they are to move a guy like Demko. I still that might not mean anything at the end of the day. Neither of these players may not move. And I think it takes more gymnastics to move a guy like Miller. But I think it's slightly more likely that a guy like Miller moves.
Well, I think what the big talk's been today, and I guess yesterday, the day before, Luke Schenn, Calgary, and Boston seem to be kind of front runners in the rumor mill anyway.
Sure.
And typically gets hurt, thankfully comes back.
Right.
If I don't think they move him until there is a deal, but the longer it goes, I mean, Luke Schenn has just been an absolute workhorse. He's making pennies. So for him to leave at the deadline, I think that's where Alvin and Rutherford have to just hold out as long as possible. You're also playing a little bit of a game of chicken, but it's not like Schenn doesn't play like a style of hockey where like he's out likely getting hurt all the time. Like he's plays a physical game, but he's not putting himself in dangerous areas at the same time. Now that things have kind of like the hype is starting to build up, and we know how the trade deadline's been the last couple of years with a few guys maybe or a few teams overpaying. What do you honestly think? First of all, does Luke Schenn go straight up for something like a pick or a prospect? Or do you think there's a bigger deal involved and there's actually a package?
No, I don't think it's going to be a package. I
think
think
straight
that
up 1-for-1
yeah,
something?
I think you look specifically at teams, and you would have to be looking at a team that's looking for defensive depth with veteran leadership and oodles of playoff experience, right?
Okay. Yeah.
I I I would wager to think that there's a few teams that are out there looking for that, but I wouldn't think that there's teams that are out there looking for scoring depth and or like defensive packaging and right. Like I'm thinking that it's probably just going to be one for one moves. I think when you start moving multiple players, and there's just not many players on this roster past a Luke Shen that have an affordable cap hit
Yeah.
that are going to work on another roster. I mean,
Mhm.
it's
That's like the
possible.
ultimate. That's why he's I think gonna move the most for the most.
Yeah, I agree. So it's possible. Like obviously, the name out there that everybody's sort of talking about that's not Luke Shen is Brock Besser.
Yeah.
But I find it hard to believe that if the teams that are interested in Brock, right? I mean, you have the typical Minnesotas that are out there. I can't
New
remember who the
Jersey.
other team, New
New Jersey.
Jersey,
Yeah.
right? Those teams that are looking for guys like Brock aren't looking for guys like Shen, right? So,
Mhm.
and I can't think of anybody past Brock Besser that anybody's going to be looking for to have come back to their roster for playoff depth. I think Luke is the guy in a
Mhm.
trade that involves him, not the sweetener. And I think a sweetener might be if there's another forward moved, it's because it's like an also, right? Maybe we take back a bad contract, and to do that, we have to send another player or something like that. I'm having a hard
Right.
time thinking about who is available on this
Yeah.
roster that would make sense for anything. Like maybe a Lazar or something like that is somebody who's looking for like bottom six depth or something, right? Like
Well,
winger depth
that's
or
where,
a
like,
guy
a
who can take
Boston then
draws
comes
or
in.
something like that.
That's where Boston comes in again because he's already been there, right?
Mhm.
So now you can move Shen and Lazar, and Boston's gonna go or they're gonna try to do their darnest to go far. So they're probably willing to give up. At that point, they're probably, like, at least the second, right? For both of those? If
I
you were to have both of those, that's probably I know that sounds crazy, but if you think about it, you've got a guy that's already there, you get an absolute sure thing in Shen,
yeah.
and you're going for it, and you're gonna probably have a later first round pick. So or later round pick, sorry. So all of a sudden now, like, a second isn't as crucial because their goal is a Stanley Cup.
Yeah, I don't I would probably advise people to temper expectations on trade value for Luke Shen. I find it hard to believe that we're going to get a second for him, right? I mean, we were over the moon when we got a third rounder for Travis Hamonic,
That's true. Well, that's
right?
so then you've got a
And
guy that's actually got more value
I
in Luke
agree,
Shen.
I agree. But but if all things were equal, and back then somebody said that we got a third for Luke, we probably would have been like, all right, that sounds like yeah, okay, that's
They
probably what
don't
his
have a
value is
second, it'd
worth,
have to be a third. It'd have to be a
right?
third.
Like they're he's so much better than Hamonic. It's not even funny. And Hamonic got a third, and everybody and their dog thought that the Senators overpaid for Hamonic. Could we agree on that?
Yes.
Right. So if we
And
had
if you
got
have
the third
2
for
dogs,
Shen,
your second dog thought the same thing.
right? If all things were equal, it was Shen that made the move, and we got the third back. People probably would have been like, okay, like that makes sense. That's good value for Shen. But it seems more fair. That's the perception I think that would have happened.
Mhm.
So I can't. If he moves, I would think that a third probably would be something that this team would look to have come back. Now, do they want a third? Yeah, I think so. They want a second, absolutely. Are they going to take a fourth for him at this point? Are you just letting him walk, and you want to keep a player like this on your roster? I
Yeah.
think they see the value in keeping a guy like Luke Shen around instead of giving it up for a fourth round draft pick. I'm of the idea that he's on an exiting contract and you just let him walk and you take the fourth and you try to re-sign him, right? Like,
Mhm. Mhm.
hey, like Luke, go somewhere, have fun for the playoffs and be a participant. We'd love to have you back after.
Yeah.
And I think they've had a good relationship with him, so why not? But so I'm literally taking just about anything that I can get. But obviously you want to maximize value on what you're getting from. And I think a third is fair expectations. If somehow against all odds they get a second, I can't see any team being silly enough to do that. Then that's an absolute home run.
I mean, I think there's I think we're so used to tempering expectations with this club anyway that
Yeah.
I think if they actually do like this would be a home run. If like a second round pick for Luke Shen or some way to get that second round pick via Luke Shen and like you said, a Lazar. I mean, I think that's a home run. And
I think a
then
third rounder's a home run, honestly.
I don't think so. I think, like you were saying, that's something that we should expect based on what the market would dictate. He's probably worth a third rounder because of all those other things, right?
Yeah,
Because
and
of
this
what you
is
know you get and how much he costs you. He's a true rental, and at the end of the day, like, you have to pay a little bit more for a rental, and especially something like, look at what the Canucks had, right? Back in 2011. Like, look how easy that was. They were guys that weren't the star players. Like, hey, we need a fourth line guy that does this. Hey, we need a third line guy that does this. And that's what put them over the top. We need a third pair defenseman, and we need a fourth line guy that can do these things and eat up X amount of minutes because all these guys are doing these things. That's all some of these teams need, and they're willing to pay for it. So I think, I mean, that would probably be best case scenario, but I think it's worth thinking that's possible.
the only problem is that the market hasn't been set yet for these players.
No, it hasn't. No, you're
So
right.
that's so yeah. So if you're Rutherford and you jump the gun early on stuff like he's known to do, then what is the expectation, right? I think the expectation probably is that a team is not going to overpay early without knowing what market set price is.
Mhm.
And that's why I think the third makes more sense for what we can realistically expect to come back. And hey, man, I would love to be wrong on that and see that it's a second for sure. Like, but I think if you wait for a long time and third pairing physical right hand defensemen start going for like fourth round draft picks or something like that, or fifth round draft picks, and we can get a fourth for Shen, like, well, that's where the market bears out. So maybe we should have expected something like that. I just don't want to see any more of this hanging on to guys.
Yeah.
Because you didn't think you were going to get what you were supposed to get back, right? Like that's
So
sort
here's
of
a
what happened
question.
with the JT Miller thing, and it's definitely what happened with Ham Houston Verbata.
Here's a question for you, just because I don't know how the cap works, and maybe you know a bit better. Because Shea Weber is on LTIR, likely never plays another game, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's got a pretty hefty contract for the next, what is it here? 4 years, 5 years?
Yeah.
So 1, 2, 3 more years at 7.8.
Okay.
How does that work if the Canucks were to take on that bad contract? How does that work against the cap?
So I think when you carry and I'm not a 100% cap person, so I'm just going on sort of what I remember in conversations earlier this year, because we have a guy in Ferland sitting on long-term injury reserve.
Right.
So if you take on a contract, and I don't know for sure if they can take on the contract, but the idea would be that value counts against the cap until the season starts, and then you can put the money down. So you sort of have to account for the fact that huge number, or in Ferland's case, that $4 million or whatever number, 4.5 or something like that number sits on your roster, and you have to count that guy as an active member of your payroll
until
once season started, and then you move him down. So again, I could be wrong on that, but
wouldn't that be something to see the Canucks take on something like that?
Oh man.
But think about like what you get for it. I mean, they're paying people. The Canucks they spend to the cap, right? I mean, they do, even in the now times. What would that mean? I mean, hey,
spend to
we're
the
going
cap is an understatement for this
Oh,
squad.
no,
we
I know.
moved Bo, and there's more money on the committed to next year than there was before.
So, but that means, so let's say you move out. I mean, let's say a few things happen. Let's say they move out Brock, they move out a couple other guys, right? Now you have that. You bring in Shea Weber's contract, and you get probably a first, and you'd send off something. I'm sure there's a trade there too.
What's Shea Weber's contract?
He's got 3 more years at 7.8.
God, that's so much money.
I know that.
They don't have the cap flexibility to do stuff like that, though. You can't. I know what you're saying, Ryan, for sure, but I don't think you can free up. So you'd have to. Okay, you got to move Besser out.
Yep.
You probably have to move one other player. That's probably Shen.
But wouldn't that be kind of a decent fit? Besser's not a Vegas type guy, but wouldn't that be interesting? Like the cast off kind of. Remember when they started, like all these cast offs, right? I mean, maybe that's an area where Besser actually could work out.
Yeah. I mean, yeah,
I don't know.
I'm sure he'd work out there for sure.
Me on this, but
so you'd have to move out another player to accumulate Weber's contract in addition to Brock Besser. And now that you finally freed up that cap space, and if you accumulated some picks to do so, you still have to account for that $7 million in money before the start of the season when it comes to all of your roster flexibility. You need
Right.
that
Okay.
flexibility.
Okay.
So I find it difficult to first understand why. What's a first round draft pick worth? Is it worth 7 times 4? How many millions of dollars is a first round draft pick worth?
That's true.
I don't. Maybe 1 year. I might take on a 1 year deal to move some money off the books or something like that for a player that's not going to play. Like, but who was the guy that signed in fucking Toronto all those years ago? Had like the
Jeff
one
Finger?
really. No, yeah, that's another good one too. Yeah, but I mean, yeah. So you take the contract on, but you don't have the flexibility in the offseason to make moves. Set your roster, and then start making call ups. You'd have $7 million in cap space after you set long-term injury reserve to start the season. And you'd have to have some players like that are making good money then come up to your roster. Where would you keep those players before the season starts?
Yeah, no, that's fair.
So,
like I said, I don't understand how that works. So that kind of makes
and we could be wrong. You might even be able to take stuff like that, but I'm sort of thinking theoretically on it. I would find that difficult and hard to do, especially because they've had to go through LTIR guys before already.
Right. Interesting. Cannon fodder. So let's take a quick break from hockey. This isn't hockey related, but have you ever gone on like a darkness quest?
What the hell is that?
Or a darkness retreat or whatever the heck, a darkness quest. So Aaron Rodgers of currently the Green Bay Packers is going to contemplate his future by going on a 4-day darkness quest or darkness retreat, where basically like no media, no light, no nothing. And he basically like lives in the dark for 4 days. Some kind of, I don't know, maybe he's got some ivermectin or something hanging out. And I mean, he's going to miss the Super Bowl, maybe. Who knows? What, like, have you ever done anything like that?
I don't know, but I just typed in what is a darkness quest, and apparently it's a turn-based RPG strategy game.
Oh, okay. Maybe we should do that this weekend before the Super Bowl.
No, I've never done a darkness quest before.
I feel like maybe this is the thing. Instead of Tide Pods and Ice Bucket Challenge stuff, maybe we all need to start doing some darkness quests.
So
you know what I mean?
I walk the dog for 25 minutes of alone time every night.
Yeah, okay.
It's my darkness quest.
Aaron Rodgers,
somewhat unrelated, but somewhat related.
Darkness retreat. Sorry, it's called a darkness. It's called a darkness retreat, and you're completely alone with your thoughts for 4 days. It will either lead to an epiphany about your future or complete madness. Tom Brady, I might eat a strawberry now that I'm retired.
Yeah. So if Brady were to do it, apparently he's going to come back and play again because it's supposed to support its own natural rejuvenation.
Sounds like going to the Joshua tree or something, taking like mushrooms or something like that.
I did see, and I would be down for this. Big money fantasy football league. The loser has a punishment, and it's not just some shitty trophy. And so a friend of ours, maybe a friend of mine, somebody you know, Steph Stephenson.
Yes.
Yeah, her brother was in a football pool where the loser had to go and be in a hotel room for the weekend with no windows or anything like that. Maybe windows.
I mean, they have to have windows.
For the weekend. And you're not allowed to bring anything in with you. No TV, no books, no nothing. You're just literally you in that room for the weekend.
Ugh.
And that's the punishment for losing.
And you have to pay for this on your own money?
Oh, probably. Or maybe it's covered by the league. I'm not sure. But I mean, they're not going to like give you up.
How do you
put you in a nice spot?
TV? How do you prove there's no TV?
I don't know. You'd have to just go in there and like it's on the honor system. I guess maybe you go in there and take the cords and stuff like that. But you get nothing. You get nothing to do. It literally like sitting in jail. You go crazy. You talk about going crazy in a darkness quest. The other one was like the one dude had to walk from Penticton to Kelowna.
Oh man.
And that gets hot, right? Like that's like
in the summertime. Yeah.
So there's that one. I did see in another league, it was like you had to spend 24 hours in an IHOP.
I've seen that one.
Yeah, and I think
every pancake you eat, it shaves off an hour.
You get an hour, yeah.
and some guy had like 11, and he's just like, nope, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
He was getting so close to like,
So
no.
we might have
These
to
are
come up
grown men.
with fun stuff like that for our fantasy football league.
I like that. I like the IHOP one. I think that's kind of
Yeah.
cool. Although I mean, you get the stomach crazy after that. You just kind of start thinking like, no, because I think we all tap out. We all like food, but I don't know. So Darkness Retreat, not a Darkness Quest.
Yeah, I'm not doing it. No.
Darkness Quest just sounds like a lot more fun. Like I could go up in the mountain after this podcast and run up mountain on a Darkness Quest. That could be interesting. Coyotes are going around right now. There's like a couple reports of wolves. After last week at speed skating, a few people got like chased by wolves by Capitol News Center. Like legit. Yeah. Chrissy texted me like, I'm like, that's like, it's funny, but I mean, it's funny because we're talking about it and they lived. But I mean, hey man, yeah, I got chased by wolves. Hard no, bro. Hard no.
That is scary.
Yeah, like wolves, not coyotes.
Wolves. Well, I've never. Yeah, I didn't hurt. I didn't.
I mean, I gotta check.
I might have sent you the longer.
Is this like a video game? Destiny 2? What's that?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, Darkness Quest.
This seems that's a video game.
Wolves. That's too scary.
Wolves is frightening, man. Like we take the dog for a walk. I mean, we live in the forest, so I'm not even allowed to walk the dog after 9 o'clock because apparently coyotes might get us. And she's legitimately right on that because they could actually get us, even though we're on like the main drag. They just pop out of the forest. What's up? There's the odd bear every now and then.
I walk the dog every night at like 10 o'clock.
Yeah, but you live by like not the forest. So you'll be fine. It's scary stuff. Anyway, Darkness Retreat. Maybe
nope.
I don't know. I think that's a little bit much. I think it's a little bit much.
That's an easy add of things, to the list of things that I don't do.
That's fair. That's fair. Let's get back to hockey. So we've been talking about draft picks a lot lately. We've been talking about how if the Canucks don't get Connor Bedard, that there's some decent options in that top 10. I mean, Fantilli would be awesome even if they got second, right? But what if they got Craig Button's 7th overall pick? What if they did? You know who's 7th overall? But just humor me and go, who, Ryan?
Who is 7th overall, Ryan?
So Craig Button on his pre-draft rankings, Andrew Crystal from the Kelowna Rockets, a winger, a very talented winger.
We definitely need more wingers.
I know. It goes against what we need. But I mean, it's not like he's going to be on the team right away. Don't you want to?
I know what you're saying. You don't draft for it right now need unless it's a player that can help you.
Definitely not this team, that's for sure. So I mean, you've got a guy that probably gets to finish out his junior career in Kelowna. He goes to the AHL likely for a year or two. And he's right in his prime, and you get exactly like you get Trevor Zegras light. And that's I mean, again, he's a center, I'm aware. But you get the talent of him light. And that's, I'm not saying like completely light, but you know what I mean? Like you're getting
what are they picking if they're taking Crystal?
What
spot are they picking?
Oh,
if they're taking Crystal.
Well, he's probably they're probably in the 10 to 12 likely. Because I know Craig's rankings sometimes are a little bit higher than they should be. But I mean, he also missed on Henrik Lundqvist, and he's admitted that. It's like, yeah, we were looking at Joel Lundqvist and his brothers, blah blah blah, and yeah, that was Henrik. We missed on him. We could have had him for free. Oh, okay, cool. Hall of Famer. Oh, neat.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah, so Andrew Crystal. I do still think the Canucks have some shots at making this happen. I think the worst they were going to finish is probably like third worst, unfortunately. But maybe that works in their favor, and we win the one draft lottery we're supposed to. Forget about Connor McDavid. Forget about Austin Matthews. Forget about who else have they missed out on? Lafreniere. It's fine. We get the hometown kid, and then we draft his buddy 10 picks later. Yeah, I'm all about conspiracy theories. Hey, you can laugh. Hey. You laugh, right? That's fine.
Who needs him most? Phoenix needs him most, right? Would Phoenix need him most?
Who, Bedard?
Yeah. What NHL franchise needs him most? I think that's where the NHL will make him go.
I don't know who needs him most. That's a good question. Because, I mean, Arizona, not Phoenix. I'm glad you're paying attention.
Yeah.
I mean, Chicago definitely doesn't need him, even though they do need him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Arizona would be a pretty good story that they finally get a guy that can put them over, like not put them over the top, but gets them back into relevancy again. Who sucks enough that needs to turn things around? I mean, really, it is the Canucks. They need that feel-good story. I feel like the Canucks always I don't feel this. This is truth. They always try to story at draft day, whether it's a trade.
He's going to Chicago.
Where's he going? Chicago.
Bedard.
Yeah, I know.
He's going to Chicago.
That sucks, doesn't it?
100%.
That sucks. You know, it doesn't suck. Sparkling water with berry pomegranate on it. That's
so funny. Nobody knows this, but so Ryan jumps on the pod and instantly starts chirping me about drinking an IPA. Such a dad drink, blah, blah, blah. Well, he has his mustache grown on purpose, which I like, by the way.
I know, but I get where you're
going. Starts sipping his pomegranate sparkling water. I don't know.
What are you saying? Just get it out there. What are you saying?
I'm just saying I don't know if you can chirp me about
I can do whatever I want. I can do whatever I want. I can do whatever I want.
A grown ass man.
I'm a grown ass man. I'm an adult. I'm an adult. I am. Here's an interesting question.
Put it on the board. He's going to the Blackhawks.
That just sucks, though, doesn't it? Like, it does. That just sucks. Because that team totally doesn't deserve him. They have cups. They have, all the current situation, obviously. But even before we found out all this stuff, they don't deserve him for all those other reasons. Like, there's so many other reasons. Like, you had your fun. And now you have to pay for it. Like, they've had their cups. And I was talking to a guy at the rink tonight about the Raptors were on, and we were just talking about trade deadline for NBA. And obviously there's, there's some rumors that they're going to start blowing that team up a little bit as well. And I thought, like, well, they won. They only won a couple of years ago. And what's the rule of thumb? Like 10 years? You give a team 10 years if they win?
No.
Isn't that the rule?
No, I think you give a team 10 years before you quit on them, period.
No way. If you win a championship,
10 years, you'd be trying to win every 10 years for sure.
But I'm saying if you win, I know this market would be fine with it. But like
the NBA is kind of funny because the win, it's probably a 10-year window for teams, but unless you're one of the top, if you're one of the top 4 guys, right? One of the teams that are going to spend big every year.
Yeah.
Then you're looking at like every 10 years. The NBA is so weird, right?
The NBA is right.
Outliers like Toronto only win every once in a while.
I was just saying, like, it's the championship thing. Like, if you win, you get like a 10-year grace period as a championship team.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then we were talking about the Blue Jays. He's a big Blue Jays fan as well. I'm like, so Toronto won in 92 and 93, so they got 20 years. No, they're still overdue.
Yeah.
So
Toronto's ready.
Yeah, they're ready for another one. So geez, we deserve one in our lifetime. So yeah, interesting. So we won every 10 years. Well, this will be like our last big thing. So we got to blow this out of the water. Is there a player right now in the NHL that you would like to see come to the Canucks? Like not something stupid, but like that there would be a realistic chance that you could see a trade happening that like, I don't know, like let's, we kind of joked about, Tavares last week. But I mean, is there like a realistic, like maybe big name, or maybe it's kind of a, better known middle of the road guy? Like, is there a guy out there that you would like to see come to Vancouver and maybe stick it out and be part of the fix, part of the future?
I might need like half a second to think on this. So if okay. You only ask these questions because there's a guy you're thinking about.
I'm actually not. I was hoping to figure it out while you had one.
Yeah, like I have like players that I love for sure that I would like to see.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not going to happen now, but somehow or some way or another, like, it would have been awesome to see Barzal come to Vancouver.
And that's weird. I was just thinking, like, if we went like Inception mode and like Barzal was supposed to be on our team, it wasn't supposed to be Bo going there.
Yeah, like he just the way he gets around the ice, and I know he doesn't score goals at the same pace, but the way he controls the puck and the way he handles himself, other than just the shooting and the goal scoring part of it, right? Like what he looks like with the puck on his stick reminds me so much of Paul Kariya.
Yeah,
And he was such an exciting player for such a long time, and like one of the guys that I loved. Like I just thought he was so great. He's one of my favorite players for a long, long time. So I think, yeah, I mean, if I could get somebody that, I'm trying to think within a criteria here, right? Like that A is very, very good, and B could somehow be attainable. Again, I don't know how the fuck this happens, but like a Barzell seems like somebody, that
that'd be the guy.
I would love to see on this squad for sure.
That would be your
I
guy.
remember being so choked when the Islanders drafted him, thinking to myself, like, oh, man, 16 overall. Like, I really wanted him to fall to 23. And then we got Brock Besser in that pick. And like, at first Brock was okay. Like, that looks great. I mean, they went head to head. I think that was the same draft, right? Was it the Besser draft?
He fell off. And then he fell off.
Yeah, and then he fell off. Like, it was like, okay, this guy's going to go head to head with Barzal for forever. And then Barzal has close. And then Barzal has fallen off a little bit. But I mean, that seems like it could be a little bit of a reclamation project too, right? So I just think that he's a guy that's had some tough seasons on Long Island. I think he's had some injury troubles. He's getting paid. A super exciting player, falls into that 24, 25, 6 age range. That would be a really exciting guy to come back.
So I've been looking, and this is a team that the Canucks trade with every now and then. And I don't know how realistic this is, but again, for the sake of the clip, what about Carolina's Sebastian Aho? He's got another year or two left on his contract. I mean, he's making a few bucks, but yeah, he's got this season and next season, and then he's a UFA 24-25. He's making 8.4 right now. He's doing pretty well. I mean,
are you talking about like the Islanders, Sebastian Aho? Or?
No, Carolina.
Okay.
I think that would be an interesting trade. I don't know how that happens exactly, and I don't think they get rid of him. But maybe there's a move. Maybe not this season. Maybe going into next season, because I would bet if there's any kind of talk, I don't know what Carolina would look like next year, but maybe that's a piece they want to move, because then they can make, or I mean, maybe they just keep him, or they've already re-upped him. Who knows?
And Aho's like a funny one too, because you look at Aho's game and point projections, like that's kind of where you're hoping Atu Ratu is going to end up, right? Like somewhere in that, it'd be good to be able to count on him for like 50, 60, 70 points a season or something like that down the road, who's like an important piece and a player who doesn't fall into that mass money category, but like is still a very helpful player for your team for a number of years.
Yeah.
But now even the average or above average players are getting banked right now. And we just saw that with Horvat, obviously, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Aho would be
I think that'd be fun. That'd be a guy that I think you'd want to try to go after. I mean, who knows? Maybe the Canucks, because I mean, you've got a year, you've got this year. Who knows what happens in the draft? Who knows who else they get rid of? Next year would be the first year where they're building back up, right?
Yeah, no, Friedman was talking about some sort of weird 3-way trade that involved Carolina and Aho and JT Miller. And I don't know.
Like last year?
No, like just recently. I didn't get to hear the whole thing. Yeah.
Interesting.
I can't remember what that was, though.
A 3-way trade, huh? Interesting. I'm okay with that. I wonder what would have to happen. Where does Aho go? Where does Miller go?
I don't know, but I'm just looking here, and apparently Sebastian Aho is actually not related to Sebastian Aho.
I know, which is it's interesting. At the same time, Elias Pettersson and Elias Pettersson also, I'm pretty sure, are not related.
Are not related, yeah.
Despite having the exact same names. Greg Adams and Greg Adams, I don't think we're related.
Yeah.
Brad Richardson and Brad Richards, not related. That's the extra 3 letters, right? I know. Steve Korean. No, they were
Oh
related.
yeah, Yips.
Yeah, they were related for sure.
Sebastian Aho. That's a fun one.
Bo Horvat and Travis Konechny, related.
Yeah.
Not even close to the same last name. But if we're talking about people, it fits the bill. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. So we missed first and first mostly this week. I didn't have a good one. I was trying to come up with like a Canucks Inception funny idea, and I had it the other day, and then I forgot it, and I spent like all day thinking about it. And I couldn't think about
Ryan
it.
Horvat. Ryan Horvat was the guy.
Ryan Horvat,
I don't know
Ryan
if they're
Merkley,
related.
and Nick Merkley. I don't think are related.
Okay, so this is so just to go back to your Andrew Crystal thing real quick.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Let's do this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just wait. I'm gonna sip on my sparkling water.
Okay.
Carry on. I'm interested.
So
Fireside
has there been a true impact forward that's come out of the Kelowna system? Because we know the defensemen, right? There's
Jamie Benn.
Okay, yeah, Jamie Benn. I digress. Jamie Benn.
I
Other than
digest.
Jamie Benn, has there been anybody?
An impact forward off the Kelowna Rockets. Dylan Dubé.
No, I wouldn't classify that.
Why?
That's not a franchise guy. That's not a.
You didn't say franchise, you jerk. You
Okay,
said
fair enough.
impact.
Okay,
Like,
yeah.
if I punch you in the face, that's going to make an impact. It's not like I'm Mike Tyson.
Okay, fine. Is Dylan Dubé like a true impact guy?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I think you're wrong.
Okay, are we counting? Let's just real quick here.
We're going there. We're going there. Kelowna Rockets, if I can spell.
So 16 points, 2019, 2020, 2020, 2021, 22 points, 2021, 2022, 32 points, 2022, 2023, 27 points in 51 games. So what's he on pace for? He's on pace for like 40 some odd points. Like, is that really moving the needle?
Going there?
Is that really moving the needle? Like, hey, I like Dylan Dubé too. Chuck Kobasu? Like, what are we looking at here for
Chuck Kobasu? No, he fizzled out.
Like, there's been a bunch of very good, serviceable, important role playing forwards, whether they play in a secondary scoring role or can be shutdown centers. Guys that play bottom 6 minutes.
Oh, I got one, but you're gonna crap all over me.
Jamie Benn is like super legit, so you're right on
crap all over this one, but it is fair. I mean, now are we talking like drafted and developed?
Yeah.
Oh,
it don't have to be drafted. I want to.
Well, I mean,
I'm trying to understand.
Was a legend. He was a legend for 6 months. Leon Draisaitl.
Oh no, it doesn't count. Come on.
I know that's not fair. It is true. Colton Sissons has been pretty good.
Good. Yeah, pretty good. I think there's been a bunch of pretty good guys, but like, how many of these guys weren't first round draft picks?
No, you're right.
I don't know. That would be my only concern.
Chris Schmidley, come on. I'm just kidding with you. Just kidding.
Vaclav Varada.
Yeah. Hey, that's nothing wrong with that. Colin Joe.
Dale Puritan. So yeah, I mean, I would love to see Crystal, pan out and score. And I think if he's available in a good spot, I think Vancouver should go with him. Like, by all means. What I would be worried about is reaching too early on a guy like Crystal.
I don't think they'd reach for him. I think if he's there at like in the 10 to 12 range.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so here's a question then. If he's available.
I don't think he's like 7 like it's on there. I said this for a little bit, like in that 10. I think if he is rated that high anyway, why am I talking about?
Oh, because I like Benson, I like Dvorsky, Leo Carlson, Will Smith. Like, there's a bunch of guys that sort of fall in and around that move that I probably would. Even Jaeger. Like, there's a bunch of guys that are kind of in that mode that are centers.
Okay.
I'm not saying like they're way better and they do so many different things than Crystal, but I'm saying that like just center wise, because I love Andrew Crystal too. Like,
I know that you kid around.
We're gonna have him on the show one day, and he's gonna be like, "Whoa, what the fuck, man?
Like, who's
That's
this
not
guy?
what this is." But like, so if he falls to 12, So say we get the 12th overall draft pick. That'd
Sure.
be heinous for starters.
Right.
And Crystal is available.
Yeah. If there's a
But-
center available that has equal talent, I think
Okay,
you
I'm
have to do a center.
gonna go a step further than that. I'm gonna say there's no center available, but David Reinbacher is available.
I don't know who that is.
A right-handed shot defenseman, highest rated defenseman in the draft. Probably
Who does
falls
he
at,
play
like,
for?
Colton, the Swiss National League.
Oh, he's playing with the men.
He's not like Lucas Ibiza, but yeah, I mean, he might be like Lucas Ibiza. I don't know. Could
Maybe
be.
they're gun shy with that. They're like, nope, we've had one of those.
He's a very good skater, super strong defensive player, right-handed shot. I mean, he is the type of guy that, should he pan out career projection-wise, could skate on a guy like Quinn Hughes' side for a long, long time.
If Orville Redenbacher is available,
Yeah.
first of all, love your popcorn. So good. No, if he's there, you have to take a defenseman. This organization just, it's like it's black hole. There's nothing there for defensemen. You'd be stupid not to. As if Crystal's there, I mean, awesome, and I would be pissed because I remember when they passed on Nick Merkley, and I mean, apparently they knew what they were doing with Brock Bozer at the time.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
that worked. I mean, it worked out well. Yeah, but who's Bozer? Who's this guy? You guys, Nick Merkley's right there. Who's Bozer from Minnesota? Yeah, it worked out all right. I love you, Brock.
Who does this sound to you? Like, what does this sound like to you? A 6'2" defender with right-handed shot, great mobility, playing lots of minutes for the National Swiss Team League. Responsible defender, tons of rush attempts, active stick, stellar positioning. What other Swiss defenseman who's about 6'2" who skates really well can you think of that plays for the Canucks? Big pizza guy.
Lucas Biza?
Yeah.
I don't know any other Swiss players.
So he could just as easily be Lucas Biza, but
yeah. But I think people would have a better scouting report on him now.
Hopefully if you're taking him 12 overall, but yeah.
Yeah. No, if there's a defenseman there, I mean, anyone in their right mind would take a defenseman over a winger. That's a no-brainer. Unless you just have like this abundance of everything else, like, no, we need a guy we need a trigger man for this guy. Okay,
Isn't it silly? Like I always think to myself, and I've thought this way my whole life.
It's like draft.
And I can say this now because I'm getting older, right? So when you're drafting, 17, 18-year-olds who are oftentimes the impact ones 2 to 3 years away. We even had to wait a couple of years for Petey, right?
Mm-hmm.
Colson.
Pod Colson scored tonight.
It was great. It wasn't like it was whatever. He scored. He played really well.
It counted. It counted. It's towards
so you're selecting a player in this spot, regardless, and I mean this, regardless of the situation that your team is in. Say you don't have any right-handed defenseman and a winger's available, and there's a right-handed defenseman who doesn't fit the mold, but is ranked up there. Like, I think you take the best player 100% of the time, because who knows where you're at 2 to 3 years from now, and you just sort it out and you manage your assets down the road.
You're always going to need defensemen, though. Always. But the only caveat to that, and that's for this squad in particular, is they've done such a poor job at managing their assets and where they are 2 to 3 years down the road. They almost have to draft for need versus draft for overall skill. So I could see Vancouver taking a right-handed defenseman or reaching versus grabbing the more skilled forward if he's a winger in terms of Crystal. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I would take a defenseman if that was your choice. You have to. And speaking of defensemen, we can maybe finish on this. We were talking about trade targets, and I've seen a few people talk about weaponizing cap space against Vegas. What about, like, I wasn't the biggest fan of him in Kelowna. I know this. I wanted to bring this up earlier. What about bringing on and trying to make Caden Korzak work? I mean, I'm not sure what Korzak has done with his development since he was drafted. I don't know how you get your hands on him. Is this a Ryan? I get put in weird spots with you oftentimes because of Ryan theoreticals. Yeah, sometimes they pan out. I'm like 1 for 6, pretty sure. Yeah. So I was looking. He's been called up. He's been called down. He's been up and down the season. Caden Korzak reminds me more of a Luke Shen type. So then why wouldn't you go after another? Like, why not?
I mean, what are you giving up for a Caden Korczak? I mean, it's not like he's done a ton. There's not a ton of offensive ability there in his senior season in the WHL. He put up 49 points, which is good.
Yeah.
But as a 19-year-old, 20-year-old, you should really be putting it down in the dub. You should be at least where he's at that point. I think he's got in his pro career. When his pro career, we're looking at about 16 points total in 3 years of 3 years of hockey. So I think that's a decent developmental piece. I'd be fine with them hanging on to it. But Luke Schenn, if you look at Luke Schenn's what he's doing in the NHL right now, he didn't really spend time in the minors. He just came right up and played. Korczak's not quite there yet.
But I think you could afford to develop him, and so you might even get Luke Schenn after the season. You might even get him back.
I think they should always be playing that card for sure.
Right? You can have a guy, the same kind of guy in your minor league system. You can also be bringing him up just to give him ice time, because if you're going to get rid of Schenn, and if you're saying that he's kind of the same player, why not bring him up?
Yeah,
bring up a guy like he's making $200,000 less than Luke Schenn, and he's on an ELC.
Yeah, sure. I don't know how you get him, but yeah,
I know.
Maybe that's the throw-in when JT goes to Las Vegas and they send back the first-round trick. They also ask for Caden Korczak.
Yeah, and David Putney.
And Dave Putney.
It's been a lot of fun. This has been a lot of fun.
No matter what.
No matter what. That's right. Vontae Mack. It's a great movie. Great movie. A great movie about a team that will never, ever be in that position.
Shut your mouth.
I said be in that position. Even though I want to say something else. I could have been. This has been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed our time together. We got some stuff on the go. We have I don't know when the first secret's going to come out, but it's going to come out soon.
Yeah.
I don't know when you feel like doing it. I kind of need your blessing first. And then there's another one that I'm working on that I haven't even told you about, but maybe off air I'll tell you. And
that's good. I'm 7 minutes late from my dog walk.
Oh, shoot. Well, there's no wolves out there. You'll be fine.
Well, anytime past to get coyotes, so I got hurry.
That's true. So anyway, we got a few things on the go. Like you said, you heard in the ad earlier in the show. You actually didn't, but I'm going to add that later. If you guys want to advertise with us, we got a good spot for you. We're on Crier Media. We got a wicked awesome reach. We're all over the interwebs. We're getting multiple impressions. We actually had a really good week last week on the video side of things. Podcast did okay. We've got some reach. We'd love to work with you, whether it's a cheese wheel, maybe it's a beer, maybe it's pepperoni sticks. Pepperoni sticks would be rad. Reach out to me. You can see my handle in the screen there, and let's make some magic together. I also forgot we are part of Crier Media, and I forgot to put that back on there, so we'll leave that to the end. Crier Media, Ted, you're good. We got another Canucks game, Bo Horvat tomorrow. They play Detroit at 9 a.m. on Saturday. That sucks. I'll be missing that. We'll be at a speed skate meet. I'm a head judge on Saturday. I haven't been involved that long, and yet.
Cool, that'll be fun.
A lot of weight on my shoulder. I've done it before. It's good. Salmon Arm, good rink.
Slamming Arm, good rink. Very comfortable seats. I'm gonna have a good time. That's pretty much it for us. Tip your waiter. Check us out on all the socials. Make sure you guys follow us. Like, get those numbers up. We appreciate what you've done last month. Somehow we went crazy last month on the podcast. So thank you very much for that. We'd like to continue to go crazy. We're trying to bring a few more guests on. But until then, I guess that's it for us. It for me, it for you. It's Ted. He's the guy with a metal ring this week, not a rubber one. And I lost my rubber one.
Well, spend another $10, you can get one. That's what you told me. Or sorry, it's a 3-pack for $10.
Yeah, I lost the other ones too.
So. You lost the other ones too. It's like all three are gone. So
I mean, they lasted like 4 years. That's pretty good for $10.
Yeah, way to go. I'm proud of you. Whoa, restart to install Windows 11. I'm sorry, everybody. Windows needs to restart, apparently. So yeah, on behalf of Ted, I'm Ryan. This is the PP1 podcast.